Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic. Let me just adjust my webcam a little bit. I'm on my laptop again, so I hope the sound quality is okay. I'm working through some old requests, and Bragg Bognar asked us to have a look at a daily killer Sudoku. You can see the link there. It's puzzle number 18,575, so you can find that on their site and have a go at it yourself before you watch me if you want to. But he says that both him and somebody called Lab Specimen weren't enjoying this puzzle, and he'd like our help with how to do it. Well, I don't know whether we'll be able to do it, but I'm going to try for you. So here's the actual puzzle. Let us have a go. Now, thing about this is difficulty 8. Now, daily killer Sudokus, the difficulty ratings I take with a bit of a pinch of salt. Sometimes difficulty rated 8 can be monstrously hard. Sometimes difficulty rating 10 can feel, fairly straightforward. But let's start the usual way, which is to find or fill in cages that have to be particular values. So obviously 23 and 3 cells has to be 6, 8, 9. Those of you who are good at Kukuru will probably be quite good at killer Sudoku, because a lot of these patterns come up over and over again. Now this 7 cage has to be 3 and 4 because of this 1, 2 in this 3 cage here. So obviously 1, 6 and 2, 5 are both impossible in the 7 cage. And this 11 cage can't include a 6, 8 or a 9, so it must be a 4 or a 7. The 18 cage, you can see, is therefore a little bit restricted, but not nearly restricted enough for me to look at it. Now hang on, this is where we need to look at that. The 39 cage going all the way down, or almost all the way down, column 8 of the grid. So I know this square and this square must sum up to 6. How do I know that? Because I know that the whole column, this whole column here, once we've got the solution, we'll have all of the numbers from 1 to 9 in this column. So if I add up all those numbers, add up the numbers 1 to 9, you get 45. So if these cells are taking up 39 of those numbers, the other 2 must add up to 6. And this one is a 1 or a 2. So this one is a 4 or a 5. This one must therefore be a 1 or a 2 as well. And actually, we can, we can do better. Because look, we've got a 5 cage and a 6 cage in the same row. These 4 cells together sum to 11. You see that here. How do we make 4 cells sum to 11 if we can't repeat a digit? Well, there is only one way, and again, Kukuru will help you out here. This must be 1, 2, 3 and 5. This square simply cannot be a 4, therefore. That's a 5, that must be a 2. Unwind this. This 5 cage must be a 2 and a 3. So 1, 2, 3 and 5. This 13 cage can't be 5 and 8. Could still be 4, 9. Could still be 6, 7. I'm seeing how to immediately tell which of those is correct. Oh, but look, we can do another trick. It might be useful. Let's look at this. So we've got an 18 cage, a 23 cage and a 21 cage, summing to 62, but I know that the whole of column 1 will sum to 45, so this square and this square sum up to the difference between 62 and 45. Well, that's 17, so this must be 8 and 9. Now, what can we do with that? Right, we've got 6, 8, 9 here and 6, 8, 9 here. So which cells in this block can be the numbers 6, 8 and 9? Well, actually, it's only this one and this one. So actually, that's really nice. Now this square must be a 6 because it's already in the same column as an 8, 9 pair, so that's a 6. This can we do better than that? Yes, maybe. Yes, we can. So another trick I like to use, especially on daily killer Sudoku puzzles, is I ask myself where very big or the missing digits can go. So if we look at this box, we haven't yet placed a 7. And the reason 7 has caught my eye is obviously I cannot put a 7 there because it breaks this box immediately. So where can I put a 7? Could I put a 7 here? Well, I can't anymore, because 7 plus 6 is 13. Even if I add an 8 to that, I get to 21. This cage is only 20 large, so I immediately break this. So this is not 7. So actually the 7 is in one of those squares. Now that means there's no 6, 7, 8 or 9 in any of those 3 squares. Now, yeah, okay. So now, yes, let's look at row 1. Where can I put a 6 and a 7 in row 1? Well, I can't put either of them here. I could put one here, but I still need to put another one in, and therefore one of these 2 squares must be a 6 or a 7. Now, as soon as one of these 2 squares is a 6 or a 7, the other one is as well, because they both add to 13. So that is actually a 6 or a 7. Therefore, the open squares must be 1, 4, 8, and 9. Well, we've already got an 8 and a 9 in this column, so that's a 4, and that's an 8 or a 9. That might be worth looking at. You can see, let's just have a look at this. If this is 9, these 2 squares sum to 8. Now, ordinarily I wouldn't bother about that, but I've already got 1, 7 ruled out and 3, 5 ruled out. So if this is 9, let's just show you this. That would be a 2 and a 6. That's going to make this 18 cage very, very restricted, especially as it can't have a 1 in it either. So if we look here, can't have a 1, 9, 2 or 6 in this. It would have to be 3, 7 and 8. Now, is that possible? No, it's not possible. Woohoo, that's cool. Let me show you why. Put a 3, 7, 8 in here. Now, we've already got the 3 and a 4 here. So this square here is a 7 or an 8. You can see this square is an 8 or a 9. Now, look at the 13 cage. If we think about the way we can make 13, we know it's either 6, 7, 5, 8 or 4, 9. Now, the critical thing to note there is that one of these 2 cells is therefore definitely a 7, 8 or a 9. Therefore, there is a 7, 8, 9 triple in row 9 of the grid. Therefore, this square here is not a 7, and in fact this square has to be a 9, because we know that there cannot be a 9 in either of these 2 squares because there's a 4 in one of these 2 squares. So the only place for a 9 is now here, and because we've got a 7, 8, 9 triple, this square could only be a 5 or a 6. Now, there's already a 6 in this box, so this square would have to be a 5. And now there is a problem. This is broken. This 21 cage already has 21 in it with a 7, a 5 and a 9, and it still has one more cell to fill. I have to put another digit into one of these cells, which is all a rather cool way of showing you that actually this square here is not a 9, this is an 8, and therefore this is a 9, this is an 8, therefore this is a 9, therefore this 13 cage is 6, 7, because it's not 4, 9 or 5, 8 now. This is 7 here. This must be a 5 or a 9 looking at the contents of row 9, so it must be a 5 because there's already a 9 in the box. This is a 9 here. This is not a 9, therefore there's a 9 in one of these two. Well, we've already got a 6 in here, so this is 6, 8, 9 here, 8, 8. 8 in one of those two squares, don't know which one. And in fact there must be a 1 in one of those two squares, because we've already got 13 from these two, plus 7 is 20, so there must be a 1 to make up the 21 total. Now, these two squares therefore must be 2 and 3. 4. We could use uniqueness to show these two squares must be 2 and 5. Shall I do that? The reason for that is obviously they can't be 1 and 6 because of the 6 here. But if I put a 3 and 4 in here, you can see there's no way of disambiguating which way round these 3s and 4s go in this 2x2 block. They're completely, they sit outside the rest of the puzzle in effect, and we could arrange the 4s and 3s however we wanted to. But I won't assume uniqueness, that's lazy. Let's see if there's another easy way of proving it. Maybe there isn't. Well, hang on, let's look here. These cells add to 55 as it shows here. Now we know this box will add to 45, so these 3 cells must add up to 10. Now that is interesting, because if this is a 4, these two cells have to add up to 6 without using a 4, so they would have to be 1 and 5. But this can't be a 5, because that's going to break the 20 cage, so this would be a 1, this would be a 5, this would be a 2. That's the first option. If this is a 3 on the other hand, these two cells have to add up to 7 without using 3, so 2, 5 is possible again. And 1, 6, is that possible? No, because obviously that's going to break here. I can't put a 1 or a 6 in this square, it's impossible. If I put a 1 here, obviously this will be a 6 and clash with that, that's why. So if this is a 3, this could be 2, 5, so this could be 2, oh no, well this can never be a 5 up here. So actually this square here actually has to just be a 5, that is what it has to be. And this square is a 1 or a 2. Therefore this square is a 3 or a 4, and that is helpful, is it? I say it's helpful. I'm hoping it's helpful. 2, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Wow. Okay, so what's the next step? 2, 3, 4. Well, maybe we do the same thing up here. Look, let's just take a quick look at this. So we've got 59 as the sum of these digits. So I know these cells here must sum up to 14. So if this is 6, this must be 1, 7. So that would be 6, 1, 7 triple. If this was a 7, these have to be... that is interesting. Yes, this is interesting, isn't it? So if this is 6, these two squares are 1 and 7. If, on the other hand, this is 7, I need these two squares to sum up to 7 then. We can't use 2 and 5, and we can't use 3 and 4. So these 3 cells are, in fact, a 1, 6, 7 triple, which is interesting. Especially because of this 9 cage. This cannot be a 7 because that's going to put a 2 here, and this can't be a 6 because that's going to put a 3 here, and obviously we have a 2 and a 3 there, so that is a 1. This is an 8, and I'm saying that's useful. Perhaps it's useful. The 20 cage is a bit restricted now because it can't include an 8. So it must include a 9. And 6. Now look. Yeah. It must include a 9, but it can't include a 6. We've got a 6 here, so this isn't a 6. Neither of these squares is a 6 because there's already a 6 in the block. So this 20 cage is actually 479, which is useful. I'm just going to have to turn off the baby monitor 1 second. Okay, that's that sorted out. So let's carry on. Now, right, let's get my train of thought back. So we've got 6 and 7 here. So no 7 obviously in either of those two squares. This square here must be a 7. What else can we see? What else is an easy win here? These two squares now have to sum up to 9. Can't be 1, 8. Can't be 2, 7. Can't be 4 and 5. So these two squares must be 3 and 6. And does that help down here? With these two squares have got to be 9. These two, yeah, these must be 4 and 5. These can't be 1, 8, 2, 7 or 3, 6. So this is 4 and 5. So this 10 cage now is 1, 2 and 7. We have a 5 here, so let's use that to unwind. Now this 4 is useful because that means that's a 3. Now you need a 2 here to make this total work, and this must be a 3. These 3 squares now must be 4, 8 and 9 to complete the column. This one can't be a 4 because we've already got a 4 in the row. 8, 9, 1, 2, 7. These 3 squares must be 3, 7 and 8. So that one, this one must be a 7. This is already a 3 and an 8 in this row, and this is 3 and 8. And these 2 squares must be 1 and 4, which means this square can't be a 1 anymore. That resolves this. 3, 8, 2. Okay, and now it's looking good. So that's 27 cage. Let's look at that. So one of the good things about Daily Killer Sudoku is you get all of the options. So we need a 1 and a 4. So we can rule out lots of these. Look, in fact, we can rule out all but these 2. Yeah, and now this square is a 3 or an 8. So there's no 3 or 8 in this option, so that's not allowed either. So we're looking for 1, 4. This must be 8. Therefore this is 3, and these 2 squares must be 5 and 9. And can we resolve that? Yes, we can actually. I'll show you how. First thing though is let's get rid of the 9s into those 2 squares. Now here we've got an 8 and a 9. Here we've got a 4 and a 9. So we know that the 9s are either going to be here and here, or here and here. So there's absolutely no way there can be any more 9s in either of these 2 columns, either column 5 or column 6. So looking at this square simply cannot be a 9. Therefore that must unwind in this order. Now this 5, now this 5 means this must be a 5, because it's the only place a 5 can go in this block. Look, there must be a 5 somewhere in it. Well, it can only be here. So if that's the case, this must be an 8, I think. We still haven't put an 8 in this block. That means that must be in that order. This 9, maybe we're on the right lines now. 1 and 4 must be like this. 8, 8, 9, 9, 9. 5, 5, 5. Okay. Well, we made a bit of progress there. So now this 27 cage at the top, sort of the symmetrical counterpart to this one, also contains a 5 and an 8. So let's see what that rules out. It's going to give, there's quite a few options by the looks of this. Yeah, there are. Okay, so maybe this isn't the place to look to make the next sort of critical deduction. Let's maybe look at column 7. You can see we still have to find space for a 3, 4 and a 5. This square here therefore must be a 3 or a 4. It can't be a 3 and it can't be a 5. This must be a 4. That might help us actually. So this is 3 and a 5 in some order, and this square here you can see can't be a 5 because there's already a 5 in the block. So unless I've made an error, we're now looking for a 4 and a 3. This isn't going to work. So it must be this one down here. 3, 4, 5, 8. This square must be a 7. That resolves the 7 and the 6 at the bottom. This square here now must be a 2 or a 3. You can see just to complete the column. Can probably do more with this 18 cage, to be honest. These 3 cells have to sum up to 13, which means if this is a 9, this would have to be 3, 1. That would have to be a 1. If this is an 8, on the other hand, this would have to be a 2 or a 3, which rather annoyingly seems to be entirely possible. So this square here is a 1, 2 or a 3. Now, can we do any more? 6, 7, 5, 8. Yeah, this 5 here means this must be a 5 in this block. It's the only place it can go. Still need to place a 1 as well. So this must be 1, 6 and 7 now, just in terms of the maths of this block, because we know we've got a 6 or a 7 here. So we need 1, 6, 7, that's going to be equal to 14, plus this 5 gives us the 19 for the cage total. Now this 1, 6, 7 means this is not 6, which means this 3 and 2 get unwound. Now this square here ought to be a, what's that going to be, a 2? And therefore this must be a 9. And into the open positions in column 8, we're looking for 4, 6 and 8, I think. Okay, well let's put that in, and then we can see obviously we've got a 4 there. So this is a 6 or, now there's a 6, 8, 9 triple look. Let me highlight that for you. Those 3 squares form a 6, 8, 9 triple. This can't be a 7 anyway because of the 4, 7 here. So this is a 1 or a 2. There must be a 3 in one of these 2 squares. I'm not going to use uniqueness to crack this. You can see though that with this 2, 3 here, if this was a 2, 3 pair, there would be a problem. So I'm pretty certain we're going to discover this square here is going to be a 1, but I'm not going to use uniqueness. I'm going to try and do it without using that tool. Obviously this 7 here forces the 7 down into this square. Now there's a 4, 6, 8 triple look in this row as well. So we still need a 1, 2 and a 3 to complete the open squares. So this square must be a 1 or a 2, this square must be a 1 or a 3, and this square must be a 1, 2 or a 3. So there's a 1, 2, 3 triple there now, which means this square must be a 6. It's not 6 here. Presumably, I'm just trying to work. Now I see the way we're meant to work out this. Let's have a look here. This must be an 8 in order to make this 14 total even possible. Therefore, that gives us 4 into these 2 squares. These 2 squares sum to 10. Therefore, these 2 squares have to sum up to 7 without using 3, 4, without using 1, 6. So this is 2 and 5, which must resolve itself in that order. That resolves the 1 and the 3 here. Remove the 2, That does give us the one that we could have anticipated from the uniqueness point that I mentioned. 3 and a 2 there. It's a good puzzle, this. I've enjoyed this. It's not been as difficult as I feared it might be, but it was still really interesting, and at the end of the day that's why I do the puzzles on the channel, is because I'm looking for things that are interesting. Now let's just try and make sure we don't make a mistake at the end. This should be a 4 here, 7 here. I'm sure we could have tidied up this 6, 7 ages ago. This square here has to be a 7. Look, could have probably used uniqueness to unwind that 6, 7 actually, now I'm thinking about it. This must be a 4, and that's how to do it. It says I took 44 minutes, but I'm sure I didn't, because there was a break in the middle where I had to sort out my daughter. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you do enjoy the channel and you're not already subscribed to us, please consider subscribing. We really appreciate it, and we'll be back soon with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.